Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back. We are at the final lecture of Paragon Bootcamp 2021. It has been a long weekend, and I think we have totaled, we are close to, 20 hours of content generated this weekend alone. That is absolutely amazing. And we are probably going to add another hour or so onto that right now with the capstone lecture of the night. This is hailing from the Kingdom of the Nine Blades. She is a Paragon color and here to teach you everything there is to know about color and becoming a Paragon yourself. Please give it up for Bonnie the Broken Wench.
Hi everybody. As Ron just said, I'm Bonnie the Broken Wench. I am here to teach you the 5 W's on the color class and the how to become a color class Paragon, at least what I'm looking forward in a Paragon of the class. Just a quick bit about me. I've been playing for almost 8 years and exclusively the color class for the past 3. So we'll get to the questions in the first slide. And that's, who are the color class players? What do the color class players do? Where do color class players participate? When does a color class affect the game? Why does the color class have merit? And how to become a color Paragon? To answer the who, we are the players who participate in Amtgard that are not fighting or reaving. We are those that I consider the entertainers, the caretakers, and the shenanigators. For me, the color class is broken down into those 3 main archetypes. Using the colors of the rainbow, the entertainers, for me, I think of them as the color yellow because they're always bright and sunny. They're the players that often encourage minstrel type activities in battle games, quests, and of course, bardics. They often provide non-scheduled or pop-up activities at fields and events. After that, we come to the caretakers. They're the blue ones. They're the ones that the players who bring refreshments, and in character, we provide garb to help players with immersion into the game. We're known to bring items to fields, such as blankets and chairs, or shelter for shade on those warm, sunny days. We provide and create immersive and inclusive spaces for those who might otherwise feel left out. Then we get to the shenanigators, the reds, the herrings. These are the players who engage in roleplay on and off the battlefield, and they consist of questers, non-combat PCs, and those who enhance the immersion for those questing and playing their other classes. They're those that encourage others to engage in quests and open RP. These 3 main types of color for me are like the rainbow or a palette of paint, where most of us are actually a blend between those 3, and we become oranges, greens, and purples. They're reflected in a sash that many of us have adopted for our class. Where do color players participate within Amtgard? We are everywhere. We are the players found around the bonfires. You can find us wandering amongst you in quests, and some are known to provide refreshments to those who are weary from battle at bases during a game or in a main gathering place before and after. Color players are known to suddenly break out in song during a battle game to encourage the fighters and the reeves. There's some of us who have even walked through the fields singing about the ensuing battles. These players are quite often found in spaces with comforts like seating and shade. Many times the players will spontaneously start a crafting circle or a round of card games. at events and field days. There are also those that will roleplay the tavern barkeeps, or those that sing a merry sea shanty. We color players are your minstrels. We're your water bearers. We're your red herrings in quests. We are those players who are at the bases, in the battlefields, and throughout quests. We're also found around bonfires and in the taverns. When does the color class affect the game? It's a question that a lot of people have asked. The color class happens when we welcome new players to fields, or when they show up at events. It's when we provide space for the players to engage and immerse without fighting or reaving. Our class is played and we affect the fields and events because we heighten the overall immersion of our game. We often create spaces with activities and entertainment in addition to the scheduled games and events happening at field days or in large events. We engage on battlefields by supporting and encouraging those who are fighting and reaving. Some color players fill the gaps between battle game lives and tournament rounds by providing potions of refreshment, known as water. Why does the color class have merit? So many people have said that the color class isn't a real class. Well, we are. We're the class for those who may feel unwanted or unwelcome. We're the class for those who choose to or cannot fight or reave. We are the class for Amtgard players who might otherwise feel like they're just a bystander, or are made to feel unequal to those who are able to or who choose to fight or reave. It's a class for those who want more than just the set abilities of a standard melee or caster class. Color allows us to create and engage in ways that make the game better. People keep asking, how does someone become a Paragon in the color class? There are multiple color Paragons within the Kingdom of the Nine Blades now. There's 4 of us. And all of us play a different type of color. For me, I have my own standard as to what I want to see from someone who is looking to become a Paragon in this class. The first thing I look at is how active that color candidate is. For me, if you haven't signed into the class or portrayed that class at least twice a month in the past 12 months, I don't feel that you're interested enough in the class. I feel that a candidate should be attendance qualified per the corpora standard for citizenship, or at least be considered active under the requirements of the Kingdom of the Nine Blades, BOD, or Kingdom level officers at the time we are considering you for Paragon. Whether that is through online activities or when we return to fields in person, it doesn't matter to me. Just be active. I want to see you're willing to teach others about the color class. I would like to see you have taught at least a class of some aspect of color that I previously mentioned within 6 months, either at field, online, or during an event within the Kingdom. We have so many players that are color players. They just need to do that little bit more. And I'm so proud of each and every one of you. I'd like you to try and attend a minimum of 1 Kingdom level event, as well as a local park event and 1 non-local park event when you're making that push for Paragon. Because to me, that shows that you can play color and be a color player at all levels within our Kingdom. For me, garb is a requirement. I don't think that an Amtgarder should be given Paragon if they don't have at least a basic set of garb that covers 80% of their mundane clothing or body, and they need to wear it as often as possible. I also feel that you should be wearing a belt because to me, it completes the look. If it doesn't work with your persona, that is also acceptable. Please just tell me. It doesn't matter to me if it's your belted line belt or if it's a personal belt you made. But the most important thing of a person who wants to be a paragon is that sash. You have to have a color sash that clearly displays you're not playing any other color. The preference has become a rainbow because it signifies everything that we do as a color player, bringing joy and changing the immersion and the atmosphere of everything around us. To do that, bring the items that help enhance the atmosphere. Bring some props or blankets or other seating options. Bring refreshments or shelter to provide shade, or bring the extra garb for those players who are new or might otherwise not be able to immerse themselves in our game. I know many players who've come to Fields and they're in their jeans and t-shirt and they're new and they've said they don't feel included. But by giving them that little piece of garb that you have that's extra, you made them smile and feel welcome and feel wanted and feel like they're not that unwanted bystander that's just there. I would like to see a Paragon candidate interact with the other classes during battle games or quests or role-playing. If you see someone like a barbarian who has been running and done all those fight after deaths, and they've just taken out multiple players during that FAD, bring them some water. Interact with them. Help them realize that we're important. The other thing I require, and I think that I would like to see more interaction with, is the members of the Kingdom of the Nine Blades Color Guild. We have a Facebook page. The group is there. Interact with us. One of the things I want to make clear is that these are what I, Bonnie the Broken Wench, am looking forward to seeing in future Paragon color candidates. These are what I require, and they may not be the requirements of other Paragons of the color class or those of the Monarch at the time of your consideration. Please, if you're trying to reach that standard, to reach Paragon in any class, reach out to the other Paragons. Reach out to the Monarch. Ask them what their standards are, what you can do to become a Paragon in their eyes, how you can improve your game. Myself, St. Veta, Riani, and Silicite or Alabaster, however you know them, reach out to us. We're happy to answer any of your questions. We're usually found at most events. Some of the common questions that we get asked, or at least I got asked before Paragon Bootcamp, were things like, what makes the color class different from a ladder award? Or what makes a color class player different from an event crat or an officer? Or how can the color class be used on a battlefield or in a quest? I hope in the following slides, I can help you understand the answers to those questions. And again, these are how I view it and are not necessarily those of the other Paragons or the Monarch. For me, What makes the color class different from ladder awards? Color is a class. Color players can be awarded ladder awards for playing their class in the same way that a bard player could be awarded an Order of the Griffin, which is a non-knighthood ladder award. Or an assassin class player can be awarded an Order of the Warrior, which is on the sword path. More examples would be a warrior class player being awarded Orders of the Owl on the serpent path for the armor they wear to enhance their ability to play their chosen class. A scout player being awarded Orders of the Garber for making garb specific to that class is another example of someone being awarded for doing something that enhances and helps them play their chosen class. Here in the Kingdom of the Nine Blades, we have awarded ladder awards, albeit not all Knighthood Path ladder awards, such as the Order of the Sharpshooter or the Order of the Tactician. These are awards that enhance the game for those players. Colored class players, just like other class players who do things to enhance their class, are frequently awarded ladder awards, both on the knighthood paths, in the case of roses and lions and smiths, and non-knighthood ladders, such as zodiacs and masks. They're all things that we're awarded with for playing our classes, our chosen classes, to the best of our abilities. We get asked, what makes a color class player different from an event crat or an officer? Well, those are Amtgarders who volunteer to be in that position and have specific duties they're required to fulfill, regardless of whether or not they're playing their chosen class. Many color players will choose to fulfill those duties while playing their chosen class of color, and thus enhance the atmosphere and immersion in the game. One example for myself is when doing Troll, I welcomed people like they were coming into the tavern. When I gave them water, it would be in character. Would you like refreshments, my lord? Or similar lines. There's a lot of discussion and confusion, and even some animosity towards color players because they're not a battle game class. Well, we can be battlefields class players. You can use us as neutral moving bases. Let us be the non-combat NPCs in your quest. Utilize our abilities to enhance the game. Shenanigators in us. Give us permission to be the red herrings, or just a random PC that questers get to meet and provide hints and tips. Ask us to even gather your thrown weapons and arrows. Some of us might or might not roleplay when we return them to you. Color class players can also be allowed to set up spaces where those players needing hydration or a bit of food during a battle game can be in an out-of-game state for up to a certain amount of minutes. These things, run by color class players, could allow for longer battle games, or perhaps shorter quests, or longer quests and shorter battle games. Utilize a class that is so versatile that we can affect battle games as well as out of battle game activities. There are people who have said that a color class player should not be given the same title of Paragon as other classes. When I first heard those words, they might have made me feel like I wasn't the equivalent. That's like telling me that telling a color class player they're not an equal Amtgard player, that they're lesser than those players who are able to or who choose not to, or who choose to fight or reave. By stating their chosen class is not a real class, it's like saying a barbarian cannot be sneaky, or a druid can only be a nature-loving hermit. Color is a class that's still evolving. It's a class that is given an opportunity to start from a foundation. Before I get to questions and answers, this is what I feel a color is. It's a class that allows every person to play Amtgard equally and creatively. And to that V9 team, that FAD twice per life would have been nice. If you have questions, come to me, ask, feel free. I'll answer what I can now, either through the Discord chat or in the Twitch chat. There is a delay. Sorry about that. My Discord crashed. Just give me a moment. I'm looking for.
While Bonnie gets herself reset up, if you have any questions whatsoever, please go ahead and post them in the Twitch chat below. We do understand there is a bit of a delay between when we're saying this and when you hear them, so we will give you some time to make sure those come in. And from what I understand, she is also looking at the Discord chat, so feel free to post those questions there as well.
I'm just waiting for people to finish typing. People talk about color Paragon. It often involves a lot of service. This is definitely important, but sometimes it can come across as if you need to be at the beck and call of other players. I wonder if you have any advice on how to balance this sort of service when pushing for Paragon. That is a very good question. Thank you, Whipsy. Color does very often come off as service. And it is very touchy subject amongst players, paragons, and even differs between kingdoms. You have to set a boundary. I am horrible for not saying no. It took me a long time to realize that playing, in my case, the Broken Wench, does not mean always being in office. You need to make people realize that when you are playing your character, when you are playing color, that is you playing your character. You may be the most helpful color player, but that does not in any way mean that you need to serve in office or as a crat. Color allows us to express ourselves in ways that someone in a position of office or in a crat duty cannot. I was asked, it's asked, what is my happiest moment or memory as color? Well, the obvious one to that is being deemed worthy of Paragon color. But aside from that, there's so many of them. It was at a body, and I had people who had no idea who I was, or who I didn't know knew me, knowing who the Broken Wench was, who came to me asking if I could help them, if I could roleplay with them, how they could get involved in the game. And I told them that they could choose from this huge Rubbermaid of stuff that I had brought. It was a whole bunch of extra garb. And this player had never been to a field. Body was their first field day, and they had no garb. By the time they were done, they had a complete garb set by going through that bin, and they wore it for the rest of the weekend, and then it showed up at field in Woven Fang wearing that same garb later on. It made me feel like I helped make the game better for them by being able to provide that. That's one that sticks out for me. Sheridan asked, question regarding garb when considering a player for Paragon. Would it matter if the garb is something the player made for themselves, or is it okay as long as it's garb? It doesn't matter if you made it yourself. I'm not judging people on their ability to create garb or their ability to buy garb or be given garb. If you're wearing garb, you're adding to the atmosphere of our game. And that is the most important part of that part of color. We're there to make the game that much better. Without color players, a lot of aspects in this game wouldn't happen. Just a bit of a delay while more people are typing for questions. So what are some easy entry points for people looking to participate as color, recommended activities, and whatnot? The easiest way to get involved in color is to come sit with us. Come join us. Most color players will actually approach you. Recommended activities, RP. Role play with us. Join an open RP. If you see a group of people role playing, don't be afraid to come up to them. Most of us don't bite. Go to the places where the groups are sitting. Most of the color players will say hello. We'll welcome you to sit with us. We'll offer you water. What are things they can do on their own to begin that journey? Okay, there's a few questions. I will answer the what are things players can do on their own to begin that journey. I can only speak from my experience and what I've seen from those that I've been paying attention to. I started bringing blankets for people to sit on and interact with. I've been known to bring a sunshade to field, cases of water. A lot of these things help other players. You can make garb, you can write songs, you can participate in bardics, you can run little role plays, make small quests. Find something you enjoy in this game that might not be fighting or reaving, and make it yours, make it a thing. St. Vetta, for example, has the Goblin Bears. She took that and ran with it and made it something more. Color is a very personal thing to the person. If you would like assistance with that, approach us. I'm always happy to answer questions on a more one-to-one basis about what you can do for color. There's, for example, a color player in Bell Hollow that I don't think has ever gone to fields without food and water and approaching people to make sure that they're staying hydrated, they're eating, and they're always happy about it. A lot of color players are very jovial. Some of us seem hard to approach, and that's not the intention. The Fubard asks, how do you suggest shaking stigma of a previous class or Paragon hood when trying to be a more proactive color player? Create a persona for yourself that is color. Ignore what you've done before and say, where do I want this to be? What do I want people to perceive this character, this persona, this way that I play color as? And if it means getting new garb or adding an accent or changing your speech pattern, do that. If it means that you go out of the way to participate in a bardic, For example, if you're known as the druid guy, but you want to be known as a color player, have a different style for your color class than you do for your druid class. For me, the Broken Wench wears dresses. Renee Hudson can't stand dresses. In real life, in mundane life, I wear a ponytail. I don't wear my hair down. I would not. These made by Magister Catrisa, honorary Nineblighter, who also made my Paragon sash. They're a part of me. I am known for my squirrels. My sash has a squirrel in silver holding an acorn, which is a nod to my heraldry, which has a squirrel and an acorn. I'm just taking off my sash here. The sash is rainbow. It's reds and orange and yellows, and it's all wool. And it signifies the different parts of color to me. There. I hope that answers your question. If you have more specifics, I'll happily answer them one-to-one. Sheridan asks, what do you suggest for color players as far as online events? Of course, there's keeping up a character in RP, but are there other things color players can do while we are still unable to meet in person? Yes, color players can interact. They can offer to host things during featured park nights here in the Nine Blades. They can do classes. You can be like Flynn and offer to run Bardics and Whipsy and Wunjo and Icho. They're not battle gaming at those times, and for me, that's a color class thing. Just meeting online and conversing, even in character. Not completely role play, but just chatting about how you're doing. Checking in on other players. Those are some things that the caretaker types of color do. I hope that answers your question. If you have suggestions on things you'd like to be doing, please ask me and I can work those out with you. I can maybe give you some suggestions on how to approach what you're doing. Again, you can reach me on Facebook, Renee Hudson, or you can reach me here through Bonnie the Broken Wench. That is my Discord name as well, not just the nickname on the Nine Blades server. If you'd like to look at some other things, you can. I have a website for it. It's, of course, thebrokenwench.com. I'd be happy to help others there and run ideas. PM me here on Discord. Unless I'm completely unavailable, I'll answer you usually within 15 minutes. I got a private question asking, How would you help a person who is seen as service and not as color? That's a really good question. And yes, I will keep your name private. A lot of the times, people who are seen as just service people and not seen as color are because there is no defining line for people. They don't see the difference between the duties of office or a crat and what's being done as color. The only way to overcome that is to make sure that people see you as color. Like, for me, when I'm volunteering as a crat or as an officer, I'm usually in my blue tunic and not in my wench dress. I have different garb for different positions. Like they say, different hats for different offices. I have different garb for different things. That, I think, has really helped people see the difference between us. If there's any other questions or not, we can wrap this up. And I believe that the lovely Flynn is hosting a Bardic after this, but I received another question. Yes, thank you for more questions. Is roleplay required to be a color player? Roleplay is only required if that's the type of color player you are. You don't have to roleplay to show someone your persona. You don't need to roleplay to show someone that you have a class, that you are that. An example is if you're providing those places of shade and comfort or food and water, you don't absolutely have to be role-playing. But for me, you should have garb on. Anyone can serve a feast, but someone who's in full garb, who's interacting with you, not necessarily role-playing, can be color. It took a long time for me to start to role-play openly with people. And I still don't do it all that often. Well, unless I see anyone typing more questions, I think we will wrap this up and we can say thank you and goodbye, I suppose.
All right, thank you so much, Bonnie, for that amazing lecture. I definitely learned a whole bunch about the color class that I've been trying to wrap my head around, and I am so excited to move forward towards the next generation of Amtgard with a greater understanding and acceptance for the color class. I, as someone working on the V9 rules, it's something I think about a lot on how we're gonna go with color into the future. And this lecture was very insightful, and I hope everyone watching at home got something just as inspiring out of it. So, with that all said and done, that is the end of Paragon Bootcamp 2021. We have made over 20 hours of content this weekend. All of it will eventually find its way onto YouTube in individual videos, so you can find the ones and rewatch the ones you may have missed. As soon as I end this stream, you can go back to the recent broadcast tab on this channel, and you can see everything that has happened if you want to, scrub through the 7-hour videos to find it. So it is there if you're in a rush for it, but we will make sure it's made available and posted on Facebook, on Discord, and all around the place via YouTube links once that has been done. On behalf of myself, Wunjo, and the autocrat of this event, Admiral and Cash, and all the staff and volunteers who came out, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this event. Please take a look at the little credits that are on screen right now. These are all the different people who helped us. If you watched one of these events and you enjoyed the lecture, please consider recommending those individuals, whether they be staff, whether they be presenters. Recommend them for awards. Take a look at their org, see where they're at, and get those recommendations in. Coming out here is not just an easy thing to do. There's a lot of planning, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of fears to just get up and speak in front of people, especially on the scale that Paragon Bootcamp has become. So if you saw something you liked, make sure you throw out those recommendations so they can be recognized next time. That all said and done, this is the end. Thank you very much. I hear there's a Bardic going on somewhere. You guys should go check that out. Like I said, my name is Wunjo. This has been Paragon Bootcamp 2021. Goodbye, everybody!